Hey everyone, welcome to Steelhorse Station. We're here in sunny Melbourne. Hopefully winter is well and truly behind us this weekend. It looks like we're going to get temperatures that are more akin to this time of the year, but it's a race to the end of the year and Christmas. So I hope you've all, if you're US based, you had a great Thanksgiving's week last week. And everyone else is sort of getting into the festive time of the year, if that's what's your thing. Otherwise, just keep working hard. Let's get right into some farming, shall we? So we're back on Newlands, and I need to hit some buttons so that you can see what I can see. And hear what I can hear. So there we go. We should be all up and active. And we're back on Newlands. So you might remember last time that we're trying to get Maize Plus sorted. We've got a little bit of a mess here in the yard as we experiment with things, but we are making some progress. So the decision at the end of the last visit was that we were going to cut the grass on here, which we have done. We did that to the conditioned grass stage, and then the plan was to collect half of it, which I've done. So I've filled the bunker silo enough and started to compress it, but we need a piece of equipment, I think, to help us there. We've got a bit more in the forage wagon here, and then we turned the other half of the fields into hay, which we're also going to collect, but we need somewhere to put stuff. So all good cow yards need a barn, so we grabbed a barn, and that should give us the ability to store some grass and some hay and some straw. So that's the plan. We don't have straw at the minute. I'm curious to see if it will take hay. It won't take silage, of course, but let's get going and see what we can put in there. The other thing, the other plan was with this remaining wet grass, which we needed to make the silage from, conditioned grass. I've modified the composter to work a bit better over at our garden centre with Maize Plus, and I'm going to go and tip this into that, and we can make some terro for the mulch at the garden centre. That's kind of the idea. So things are happening. The idea here is to get us up and running with the hay off the field and try and get corn in, and then we'll roll the day over. I'm pretty keen to get corn planted in April. As you can see, our forage wagon is just a little bit heavy for our tractor, so in the next game day I'm hoping we can secure a few more funds and just do an engine upgrade on the tractor, which should be good. You can see we're all set up here. Produce is sort of dribbling in as time passes, but I'm hoping with the changes I've made that we can tip this in here. We're about to find out. Straighten you up. Yes, we can. So conditioned grass can go in there. Actually, it won't take it all, but we'll, we might just, what did it leave? 10,000. So, and we might be able to fit the rest of that in our silo that we're fermenting before we finish compacting it. So let's go and give that a whirl. I hope everybody's had a good week or having a good week. Been an interesting one for me if you're following along with the development of the channel. So I'm up to, I've done 3 episodes of the new Silver Run Forest series, and at least in picking the content, feels like I've done something of interest because it's attracting more click on interest. So it's the second episode is the first thing I've posted that had 1,000 views, which mightn't be a big deal for everybody else, but was just an interesting piece of statistics and progress for me. Doesn't mean very much, other than just helping me understand how YouTube works a little bit better. And how far up there can we push this? And one of the key things is it just gives me the ability to see let's come forward. There we go. That's a big pile. So now we can go collect the hay. As this, I'm just saying, it's only interesting insofar as it gives me better information from YouTube. So what I'm able to see for the first time is I've got enough data on a particular video to get some interesting information about who's watching and how they watch, right, in summary form analytics. These aren't as, I wonder if I should have rode them up again. Maybe that might be a quicker way to do this. Run back over here with the windrower. Let's turn you off. So all it really enabled me to see was that there's a core of people that are sort of connected and like the content. So to those folks, thank you very much. And then there was enough interest in the Silver Run topic to get a whole bunch of people, more than half, to at least click on and watch the first 30 seconds. So that's interesting. Where is the other tractor? What have I done with it? Going bonkers here. Oh, no. Ah, it's over there. So that's interesting, but clearly I've got a lot of work to do in my first 30 seconds to get people to watch a little bit more of the video, which is perfectly to be expected. Videoing and creative content production is not something I would have said was my thing, so I'm learning that very much as I go, and having a good time doing it. So that's been a little bit interesting for me to observe and learn about this week. Now, it's over there. Let's get this windrowed up. There we go. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you've got a course that'll probably do the job if I start you over here somewhere. So we don't want the first waypoint or the last waypoint. We want the nearest waypoint to there. Which way are you going to go? That'll kind of work. Rightio. So we'll let him chug away there. We don't get run over by the windrow. And we can go follow his windrows and pick this hay up. And this will progress at a reasonable clip. So I'm feeling a little bit more comfortable with Maize Plus. Certainly wouldn't rate anything above basic understanding at this stage. There's a lot to take in, especially when you don't work in the field as a regular sort of thing, because there's so many more pieces of well, not so much more pieces of equipment, so many more techniques and combinations and options. Just understanding what they are and what they're used for and what the different products and additives belong to, you know. So why do you put molasses in a cow mix rather than Luprasil or cut sugar beet, for instance? So I don't know the answers to any of those questions, but I do know that it's a choice. So I'm sure something has to do with the age of the stock, and also with what type of breed you're working with. So we don't have a lot of variety in that regard here. Whether you're producing beef cattle or dairy. I remember from growing up that certain times of the year the milk tasted funny from the dairy. We had a dairy a couple of streets over. In my very young childhood, it might probably dates me a little more than I intended, but the milk was delivered by horse and cart. I don't have an enormous amount of memory of it. Apparently, though, I was quite it was an important event of the day, and I would go and stand by the front gate, and because of the layout of our street, I could ride on the cart down the street and up the next street and basically arrive back at the front gate of our house. Probably not something you'd let a 3-year-old do these days, but which in itself's a bit of a sad thing, but nonetheless just a little bit of entertainment in the days when milk was delivered in bottles, what's more, with the little foil caps. Certain times of the year you had to leave a container out, like a bucket or something, so that the milkman could put the put it over the top so that the crows didn't poke a hole in the bottle cap. All these fun little skills you had back in the day. Right, so we're getting a bit of hay here, which is good. Hey, g'day, Cranky, welcome along. Great to see you there. Hope you're having a good week. I'm guessing that somebody else of significance, much more significance than me, is streaming because it's been very quiet so far this morning. We're just collecting up the hay, so I've been progressing the plan that we put in place last time. This is about as much hay as this is going to carry, so we'll let him keep going. I collected up half the field of just the conditioned grass, and I've filled our silo. It needs a bit of compaction. I also put some in our composter over at the garden centre, and I've done a mod to the garden centre so that it now takes conditioned grass and wet grass, as it was a little upset by Maize Plus. It still worked, it just didn't accept many of the new products. And as you can see, I decided that we needed somewhere to store some of these products to try and reduce the clutter in the yard, and I'm really hoping that this barn is actually going to take this hay. If I can get the back of the trailer actually in the trigger. So that's good. And so the track we're on here is I'm just trying to pick this hay up so that we can get corn down in this field, which shouldn't take us too long, and then we can roll over to the next day and see what is what. In order to buy the barn there, I had to borrow another 100 grand, which was not in the plan, but not the end of the world. So our loan is up to 400k, which is not horrible given the cash flow we're generating now from the... And we'll come back and row that section up shortly. Which way do we go? So have you done anything interesting this week? Are you a football / soccer follower? And no, I'm not talking about it because Australia made the round of 16. It's just that I know it's topical, and particularly in Europe, it's a really big deal. It seems to be a very big deal here all of a sudden, at least for the national media, now that our team pulled off a surprise against Denmark. It would appear that there's a strong contingent that think that the Matthew Leckie is now a national treasure. I must say I thought it was a pretty cool goal. No more cool than many of the skills on display at that level of the game. Yes, well, not following it very closely myself. The statistic I know about is it's only the second time we've made the final 16. So, and given that we're up against Argentina and Mr. Messi, and that the consequences for an Argentinian loss are far greater than for an Australian loss in terms of their standing at home, my suspicion is our tournament will conclude early next week. G'day, Jason. Welcome along, sir. Great to have you here. We are just saying to Cranky, we are just progressing the plan that we outlined last time. So, done a couple of things. You can see I took it, you might probably wouldn't recall, but this forage wagon was up in the sales, as evidenced by the low maintenance level on it. It's got 13 hours duty, but it's ideal. It's just a little bit big for our tractors. We could do with, we're probably about 20 horsepower, 20 even 30 horsepower short on both tractors, but we'll upgrade the Fent when we move into the next day. We're just trying to get this hay off now so that we can put the corn in. I'd like to get the corn in before we finish April. And then we can see what's next. So this is all progressing nicely. I also took the opportunity to download a whole bunch more silo, well, bunker silo mods, although I'm not sure that they help us a tremendous amount. It's really interesting how many of them, now that I know what I'm looking for, seem to have just been quick and nasty converts from earlier versions of the game, and so consequently you can only install them on the 90 degree, which we're just enough off that that just looks funny over there, but that's okay. I guess my next bit of modding experimentation will be to determine what it is in the settings that dictates that. I can't imagine it's anything to do with the image. It's just probably lazy XML. The other thing that I did, I'll just pop out and have a look for a sec, because I haven't looked at it yet. I activated, I'm just not sure where it is. Come up here. No. Maybe it comes up here. Animals. Oh, here we go. So I activated a mod which provides, no, that's icons overview, yield boost. So is there a, they have actually improved the help quite a bit, not before time, I might say. I was looking for, I put a mod on that's supposed to tell me more about animals, but I can't see how it's done it, if it's done it. Came out during the week. One of the few ones we got this week. Maybe I have to be near the animal pen for it to show up. The main thing that attracted me was that it just seemed to give you a summary of the food and feeding requirements, which to have that in game rather than to have to refer out to my little Maize Plus document, I thought was potentially handy, particularly if it comes up as a topic of conversation. I reckon apart from that area over there, which we'll go and fix in just a second. Get this before the... I reckon we're pretty much done for here. Getting chased down by the windrower. That's what I'm wondering, Jason. I'm not entirely sure. So let's go and grab this guy just so I can finish that. I don't know how you ended up back on there. But let's just row that up for me. There we go. From the description that was, or the screenshots that were in the ModHub, I expected it to be like another screen, sort of like done like Mark's stock check was, and that's why I went looking for it where I did just now. But we'll have a better look in just a second, because we can do that once we'll need to run a cultivator over here to get the... That's not going to do anything, they're too far apart. Yep, senior moment, completely lost my train of thought. Okay. Yeah, let's just blend all of that into there. Ish. I'm just making worse mess. That really didn't help at all, did it? So this Vermeer windrow is not quite as wide as I think it is looking at it, which is interesting. Okay, that's enough windrowing, sir. Let's go. What did I do with the cultivator? Let's fold you up. And put you over here. You can pull the cultivator comfortably, so that'll be all right. Which way round? Get on the correct side. Oh, goodness me. I'm looking at it thinking, oh no, that's the other one, and thinking to myself, why would I have parked it like that? And the answer was, I didn't. Right. I'll need a new course, I think. So let's go here, create a job. Target here if we can get it. That is the field. 1 5-meter tool. Let's do 4 headlands. Start work. On the headlands and generate the course. And that is going to start around the other side. So we'll drive over there. You're just across the way, are you? Right. It's the stop sign. That means the start sign's down here. First waypoint. There you go. Let's get the rest of this hay off. And then we can investigate. There was an update in the list this week for Newlands, but I haven't bothered to. I read through the release notes. Right control and right shift F. Ah, okay. So that's going to be conflicting with follow me. I'll have to change that binding. I suppose I won't be trying to follow me necessarily, but I will have a look. Thank you, Cranky. Yeah, the change log for the Newlands update only fixed one of the, or only addressed one of the issues that we had identified, as far as I can tell. So, and then it was kind of rendered irrelevant by putting Maize Plus on. So it fixed the definition entry at the composter at the production centre. But I found during the week with Maize Plus, I had to go in and edit it again anyway. So to add the different grass configurations to it. So I haven't bothered to upload it unless if you'd fixed all the trees, I would have taken the pain and done the upload. But there's no evidence that the map maker's even worrying about the trees. Took care of a few floating ones apparently, but given I haven't seen any floating trees, I'm not too fussed about that. So we'll be continuing on this version of the map, which doesn't leave us with any terminal sort of problems. Come on, I think I can. I think I can. Not a bad combination. Looks pretty smart. Last trailer, Fendt tractor. And our sort of farm area is starting to get a bit of a lived-in feel. House on the bluff up there. That's my view, Jason. So map update, if they ran that script, it would fix it. The likelihood is, however, that it would require a new game save to take effect. So I wasn't all that hopeful. And there's every chance that the map makers defined the trees the way he or she did for a reason, right? And I just don't know what it is. So there could be a performance reason for not defining that collision on trees. Perhaps for console or something, I don't know. But for me, I haven't observed any discernible performance issues. I don't think it's worth picking up the dregs of that hay. I'll spend more fuel than I will collecting it. And given that the couple of things that I have fixed as I've gone along aren't really on his list, it was kind of easier to stay with now my variant or mutant version of the game, so, or of the map. So that's okay. I still like the feel of the place. And what I was looking for was if there was any objects that he'd put down or new things, I can potentially copy those out of it, out of a new version if necessary. But I didn't detect it. Like he put a sell point in for cotton, for instance. Well, we're not going to grow cotton, so at least not on this map. So, you know, I'm not too fussed about that. He put a couple of extra sell points in the warehouse for a couple of products that I can't think of off the top of my head. Again, if we need an extra sell point, there's so many that you could drop in. You wouldn't update that. I wouldn't update the map just for that. Got any coffee left? Right, so let's turn that off for a second and have a look over here. So it was right control, right shift F. Oh, there we go. Thank you for looking that up, Cranky. So what that's telling us is that when you've got the food groups running in parallel, which is what we have with Maize Plus, these are the 4, these are the weights, and these are the things that provide those food groups. And so they list them down. But what I found was particularly helpful from the screenshot, because I tend to forget, and particularly with icons that you're not using all the time, what actually some of these are. So I just thought that was quite a neat presentation of it, and it's got all the animals all there in one place. And like, for instance, we want to put some sheep down, so knowing what we need for the sheep is pretty helpful. So there you go. So all I need to do is think of a key combination that would be better suited to, unless he's hard coded it. Let's have a look. Because that's always the case, always a possibility. We can turn the zone markers off. Now, where are we here? It'll be down here somewhere. Placeables, game. Platinum expansion. Kubota, bale counter. Animal food overview. That's the one. Now, let's think about this. And let's go with, I'm happy with right control, right shift. Let's just do curly brackets. Or that'll do. And now I just need to remember Good. Oh. So speaking of animals, our animals need to grow up a little bit. Basically, they've got plenty of food. They're producing a little bit of slurry, and we'll get some straw shortly. We need to decide what we're going to do with this wet grass. And we need to get a compaction. I'm only compacted at 16% at the minute. And we need something a little bit heavier. It'll take all day with our current tractor. Did I save that? Good question. Probably no. Well picked up. Thank you. What would I do without you? That explains why I have so much trouble in the games where you're not looking over my shoulder, Cranky. We are just about ready to be able to seed that. So we can get our seeding equipment organised. We might just leave you backed up a little bit there. Like so. Seeding corn requires the corn seeding machine, which is just tucked in there. And oop. Have we got any? We'll make sure we set it to corn. Would be a good start. I don't have any fertilizer at the minute. That's something we're a bit short of in the garden centre. There's a couple of products that require fert. So let's fill this up. Not. Oh, there we go. Perfect. We're set for corn. Where are you up to? You on that? Don't really want to do the headlands before. And we might just let him go a little bit longer. I think. We can leave that sitting there. Let's duck over the shop and get something to try and roll this silage clamp so that we can cover that. We might need to just slow the clock down a fraction so that we don't go into the dark here. Try and stick on the correct side of the road. I was quite interested in one of the mods that came out during the week. I don't know how realistic it is. It looks like a little bit of fun. Watch Mr. Silly P's review of it. It was the wood chipper merged with the Class Torian, and it's this one here, I think. Have I got it? Yeah, this guy, the Wood Crusher, which is a bit of a beast. But one of the interesting things, so it's no, I put it on here, but in reality, it's not something that it makes any sense to use on here because it's so darn expensive, right? To lease this is $23,000 a day. Now, if you were selling the wood chips on most maps, that's never going to pay for itself. It's only on Silver Run where wood chips are 10 times worth 10 times as much as they are on most other maps that has any sort of place. But then on Silver Run, you don't really need the wood chips because you can sell the trees. So it's kind of an interesting quirk, I guess. It does make it easy though. Now, I don't want to be in there. I want to be in levelers, don't I? Now, I'm the first to admit that I don't know how to choose these. And I don't appear to have any. So there's blades, but there's also, am I better off just putting a weight, a compactor? That's what I was looking for. So I assume you just hook one of these up, and the idea is it's heavy and it helps. And does anyone have any experience using them? That's a 3 meter one, which is probably a good size. 4.9 meters, so it's going to extend wider. Oh, I see. You can put some more weight on it. Interesting. Why don't we do a little bit of an experiment? Let's lease one of those. It's only $500. And the 180. You reckon this one? Okay, power takeoff, hydraulic. We're going to use a tractor on it. So he's narrower. So let's lease one of these. That gives us 2 to take back. So let's put you on the front. Okay. I'm confident we now weigh more. 16.9 tons. So that alone, without doing anything, will have some effect driving into the clamp, assuming we can actually get up the hill that I've created. But we can experiment. Ultimately, when we've got a few more fields and a couple of extra clamps, my plan is to be able to do some of this with the automation. Yeah, certainly I think being just about the size of the width of the tractor is definitely a good thing. So having it too much more, I can see being a problem. So I've only leased them for the moment. As we do an experiment, it's not a huge problem. And then whichever one we like, we can keep. Okay, he's progressing pretty well there. Finishing the 4th headland now by the looks. I decided to buy the barn because that would be a little bit more versatile for us. Now this back one is going to be too wide for our clamp. That would be the first thing I would observe. Good job. Well done, Steel. Okay, so it's just a rear weight at this point in the exercise. We need to go to the front piece of equipment. So we put you down, we turn you on. Let's put our menu on. Well, it's definitely compacting faster than it did when I was just trying to drive the tractor in there. Yeah, that kind of ramps up pretty well, doesn't it? If I don't get bogged. Okay, what am I? That's all hooked. That was the problem. That's fairly effective. Good call, gentlemen. It seems to be working quite well. Welcome along to Lurkers. Very nice to have you here. Lurking is quite a respectable pastime, but if you want to jump onto the chat and say hi, you're in a setting where you can. We'd love to hear from you as well, particularly if there's a question or a comment. If I'm doing something that's woefully offending your sensibilities as a farmer, then please let me know. I'm learning some of this, quite a lot of this stuff as I go. Halfway, that's not too bad. So what's the feeling? Is the roller that I've got on the back as a big weight, is that actually doing anything or making any difference or not, do you reckon? Oh, I'm bogged. There we go. I.e., would it make any difference if I take it off? Or is the extra weight there helping me get a faster result? Oh, bang. I feel like I want it to not go that far, because then it gets stuck. I want it to sort of squash down those bits at the back there, but can't seem to impact upon it. Okay, stuck. Might be counteracting the front one, you reckon? Okay, well let's give it a whirl without, if I can actually get back out of here. No. No, I don't want to be over there. Come on. Come on. You know you don't want to. There you go. So let's get out of here. Back it up. Right. So, does this go faster now? Maybe. But I get stuck easier. Not traction. So I've got to turn it on and off to get me in and out. Make a nice smooth ramp at the entrance here. Yeah, I think you're right, Jason. I think it is just marginally faster without it. It's interesting though, it doesn't feel as responsive in the pit. So I'm struggling more with traction than I was, but we're compacting faster, so it's an interesting trade-off. You can't get up there. Come on. Come on. That's the bit you want. Finish him off. There. Just a whisk. There we go. Okay, so we like this one. We'll keep this. The other one's no good. So... but that's a good job done. EQG. Might as well park you round next to the pit because that's the only place you're going to get used. Let's go into our equipment list so I can remember to get rid of that for now, because you are not required. Drink time. So, let's see here. I think, are you far enough through that we can start you on? Let's see which way you're going to do it. I think we might be able to. So, how wide's this seeder? This planter? I can't remember. The planter is 6 meters, so it's a little bit wider than the cultivator, which is okay. So let's kill that course. And create a job. Six meters. We'll do 3 headlands, but we'll start in the center. And because that should keep us inside what we've, yeah, what's already been cultivated. Yeah, sorry, that'll extend out into what's already been cultivated. So that's all right. It means the cultivator won't run over our lands here. So bypass, generate the course. That's fine. Where is the start? Down there, which is good because he's already done that bit. So let's go down there. First waypoint. We're set for corn. Which way are you going? You are actually heading in that direction. Let's change you to use fertilizer. No. Save the game while we're there. There we go. So that should be acceptable. Face full of dirt. I think they'll stay far enough apart. We can go back and cover this pit. Blanket silo. That's all I need to do, yeah, folks. There's nothing more I need to drop in here, I don't think. Okay. 0% done. It's covered. Kind of looks like a silage bunker now, so that's good. You're happening. There's no point in going faster with time at the minute because we need these guys to finish. Right. Let's have a look. Now, when we were looking at that feed before, the question I have, so sheep want conditioned grass. Sheep can eat fresh grass in 3 categories, which is what we've got sitting on the deck here. This is fresh, yeah? So maybe we put a sheep pen up here because we've now got, and just to start it off, because we've got something to feed them. I'm thinking in this gap here is where we'll put them. We don't have to worry about the train because it gets stuck on the other side. But I'm thinking this is a good area for a sheep pasture, and it'd be just annoying to pretty much do anything else with it. So if we have a look at pastures, animals, sheepers. The question becomes, what sort? I don't think we need a house. That's the size. So, what's that? 15 sheep. That's kind of pointless. 250 sheep. That's going the other way. But that'll fit. That gives us lots of options, I must say. And it fits in there fairly well. I'm guessing all the points are at the end here. So that's 28,000 for 250, 45. I think the decision makes itself. I reckon. And it's just a question of how we place it. Do I have the grazing mod? I do not have the grazing mod. I had a look at it, and to be honest, I wasn't a huge fan. The concept I like, but it seemed to maybe it could have been the presentation of the data, but it seemed to not do an awful lot. I'm thinking of putting it this way, so we got a little bit of space at that front end there. And one of the things that I wasn't well, you got to take into account, so lots of these mods, I don't know if you've noticed, but the modders that are producing these pens, so this one's a good example, right? Spot the gate. Right, there's no gate in the pen. And so consequently with the grazing mod, you need to get in potentially to plow it and seed it and look after it, which is fine, but there's no way into the pen. So then that forces you back into the free range ones. I reckon, yes, I'm hoping that's the way you were thinking, Cranky, and I'm just want him clear of the, so I reckon somewhere, am I squarish? I reckon somewhere like that. I'm going to have to go for free placement. The other thing that was pointed out was they eat the animals, it changes the eating patterns, and the pastures aren't big enough to hold many animals. And given, you know, all things considered, you know, the strategy that I tend to go with is like this one here, is I try and place it and keep a little bit of the natural surround and do it that way rather than worrying about the grazing mod at this point. So that was my interpretation. Have you tried it? Have I accurately summed it up? It would also be, because I could simply be wrong. What am I trying to do? I want to turn the triggers on for a second. I did also some research to try and figure out how to do the triggers, and I got myself very confused. Right. So we're going to buy what variety of sheep? Swiss. I think we need Swiss mountain sheep. And we will buy and we're not going to buy 60. Let's buy 10. 10 of the 10 lamins. And can we afford? We can only afford 5 of those, can we? So I'm completely with you on the concept. I like the idea. I like the idea of moving livestock around. So, but it's not implemented anyway close to what I think would be a better way to do it. So if you kind of link a few concepts together, and I just don't have the expertise to try this out, but I'm kind of heading in that direction. It'd be really nice to be able to use fencing. So if we go into the overview, if I could use the fencing tool to say, rightio, no, I don't have any. Let's try picking a fence. Right, so I create a fenced area, and then I designate that as a pasture that I can put animals in, and based on its area, there's a calculation that says this is how many animals can go in it. That to me is the place we need to be ending up. And then I've got to place objects like feeding troughs and the like, or develop so if I plow the field inside it and plant grass, then that by definition gives me a carrying capacity of that field. To me, that's the way that should work. And then, you know, if I put more stock in it than that, the feed runs out quicker and it becomes bare. And so then I've got to move the stock while the grass regenerates, for instance. Now, the basic things that are required to do that seem to me to already be in the mechanics of the game. It just needs some clever people to sort it out. So that's kind of how I'm thinking about it. Now, let's see if we can feed these animals. So let's have a look. We don't have any water. Now, will my water distributor distribute? You know, because when you look at terrain like this, I mean, it makes perfect sense to me that any farmer worth his salt, or her salt, where are we here, would, you know, take this block of land and divide it up into some fields and put some different animals in there rather than crops, right? Particularly some of the hillside stuff over here. Well, kind of the game's 80% there. It just needs to take that step. And then there's a whole bunch of mechanics that you could introduce to manage stock on that basis. You know, you have a placeable that you put down, which is a shearing shed, and you've actually got to bring the sheep from the field to the shearing shed in order to get the wool. You know, and it's kind of the same concept as a harvest. You know, that sort of stuff. It's not far from where we are. And I just don't have the technical expertise to implement a version of it, but hopefully it's coming. Now, we need to get some water in there because, yeah, so it just allows grass grazing in the existing field, but it's worse than that because in this particular case, if that's decorative grass, they can't eat it. So you've placed your pasture, you need to replace the grass. But if it's a field where there's no gates, you can't get your equipment in without cheating to replant the field, which means you've got to replant the field before you put the pen down. But if you're not careful, the pen will replace whatever you put down with decorative grass anyway. So it's kind of, it just doesn't quite work. Now, what I want to put, I don't have enough money, so that will kill that concept. Let's get some water because it looks like the distributor, we'll wait till 6 o'clock and see if the distributor actually puts some water in there, but I suspect it may not. And I need a vehicle. Have I got a vehicle that'll tow the tanker? Will my truck pull the water tanker? I reckon it'd be a great idea for a premium expansion. Maybe I should pitch it. I'm sure people are. Like, I can't believe that with all of the horsepower that thinks about mods and things. When you look at what's done with Maize Plus, surely people are thinking about and discussing that with giants. I don't understand. And I'm presuming the only reason that it hasn't happened is that it really doesn't drag a lot of equipment into the game necessarily, and therefore, you know, licenses and things that generate lots of income for giants, that I can imagine is the only reason. Yes, it is, Cranky. Well spotted. I need a, whatever you call those blocks that you put in over rail tracks. Now, did it put any in here? And that's what we want to check. Have we gone 6 o'clock yet? Nope. We haven't gone 6 o'clock yet. I just want to wait till the hour ticks over just to see if we get any water in the sheep pasture. Come on, there we go. 6 o'clock. Did we get any? Nope. So the distributor is not distributing to here, which is fine. We'll just have to put our own water in, find out how much this holds. Not that it's a difficult job to run across with what it holds plenty, so that's good. Is there a mod that you guys know of for a track crossing? I haven't seen one that I can think of. Get around there. I also put a fuel tank in during the week because I noticed we have vehicles that are getting a bit low. This is one of them. Come on. Are you not filling? Yeah, I know I need to fill the... Hang on. Let's try... No, why are you not filling? That is really odd. Yeah, I'm guessing I can probably delve in and copy the crossing that's just down the street. I can try that. Why are you not filling with water is my question. Bit odd. Let's see if I can fill you out of the distributor. That's better. How weird. Was I reading the icons incorrectly? No, I was reading them right. Oh, well. Yeah, presumably I can take that crossing that's just down there and duplicate it up here. Might do the trick. That can be an experiment for later. Hello, there we go. Right, that'll be enough water for the sheepers for now. Now, if I remember correctly, what we need to do we'll drop you back where you belong. Oh, the other thing you might have noticed, it's kind of obvious sitting there, is I bought a curtain cider. It was on sale, secondhand, 11,000, and I figured it was just one of those things I couldn't pass up. Now there should be enough fuel in here to fill it. That's better. Let's put one of those in the back there. And then we can duck down the bottom and grab some of that grass off the floor. It's going to be too high for that trigger. Right. So that should have just filled one category if we've... Yep. So it gave them some roughage. And so now if we go and get the wet grass that's on the ground, which we will need a trailer. Can you pull this one? I do not know. Apart from looking ridiculous. You're going to completely overbalance. You're not even going to be able to tow it, are you? That would be too easy. Okay. We need to wait. Farmer Bob has some stuff for railways, including crossings. Oh, okay. Cool. Well, that could be really handy. How's our erstwhile folks going? You've run out of seed, I'm guessing. Oh, no, you haven't run out of seed. You've run out of money. That was silly. I wasn't paying, like I noticed it slipped into the negative. The consequences of slipping into the negative, I missed. Let us just, because that's annoying, activate overdraftal. And go and start. I don't want the first waypoint. I want the nearest waypoint. Well, you're almost out of seed as it is. Let's finish you. I've managed to put that back on the headland now by the looks, which is not what I was trying to do. Oh, well, it'll run out of seed in just a minute. There you go, right on cue. Go here. Almost finished. Come on. So where did you actually get up to? Somewhere across there. I just need one more setting in course play to be able to select the waypoint that you want rather than just nearest. Come on. Okay, from this angle I can kind of see where I need to be. Let us open you up. Let's get on this line. Now go nearest waypoint. Right, that's better. You go and finish those two bits you missed up there. Don't worry about the seed in it because we'll fix that shortly. So have any interesting mods caught people's eyes during the week? I mentioned the wood crusher before. There hasn't been a lot. Like, giants have been taking a bit of a break by the looks. don't know if we mentioned it last time I saw you, Jason. I managed to solve my issue on Silver Run of not getting a circle on the mini-map when you're doing a contract to tell you where the dead wood or the rocks are. There's actually a filter setting for the map display to turn that on and off. So it's a new filter thing for contracts, and it would appear it's off by default. So as soon as I turned it on, circles popped up. So we just get this little triangle here, and then there's some in this corner, and there's some down the bottom end of the map, I think. Bottom end of the field. Yeah, it was nice that it was just a simple error on my part. But it's going to be quite interesting with the series I'm running there. A combination of turning on precision farming and doing crops seems to... the economics are all a little bit all over the place. So we've got a shed full of corn. Well, Jake and Paige have a shed full of a silo full of corn and an extra trailer in the garage, and the corn price should have peaked in January, but it didn't. And I can't think of anything that I'm doing that would cause it to get so bent out of shape. So something weird going on. But when you look at the economics, you know, wood is so highly prized, and interestingly, you can't plant lodge pole pines or what are the other one? The other new tree types on other maps. Whilst you can use the planter device, the saplings palette doesn't give you the options for the other tree types on other maps. So until somebody guesses what that fill type is for those crops, we won't see them emerge, which is interesting because they're clear. I watched a YouTuber do the comparison on the yields from different tree types, and it was obvious that the two new tree types pay a lot more even than spruce on Silver Run. So, you know, in order to make logging attractive, because the equipment's so expensive, they've just kind of beefed up the economics. But that then just creates issues if you want to transport that to other maps. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all unfolds. Rightio. Well, we've got a few people watching. We've had a few people in and out. So that's all good. This field is slowly getting seeded. Where were we? Oh, we need to find... we've got a tractor now, haven't we? So we can pull that trailer. And with any luck... where did I put that tractor? It's over here. we can put that pickup on the end of it. No, what did I do with it? There it is. Goodness me, ran right past it. Let's just pop you around here. Now, if I'm not mistaken, which side are you? Is that the 3-point link? Yes, it is. And then the trailer. Oh, come on. Angle, angle, buddy, angle. Then I'm hoping we can pick this up off the floor. And we can. Just it puts your garden leaf blower to shame, doesn't it? Gradually getting the yard into shape. Come on, back you go, back you go. One more little bit. Just pop you over there out of the way for the minute. And then we can, and this might be a good quantity for the sheep. It'll be interesting to see how that balances out with the hay bale. G'day, the Mrs. Steak or them's Steak. Not sure how to pronounce it. Welcome along. I'm guessing it's going to depend what you're serving. Quite a lot. The Mr. Steak. Okay. Welcome along, the Mr. Steak. Glad to have you here. I'm thinking that the you probably want to get into one of the bigger Discord servers where they host multiplayer games, and there will be people in there that will have the ability to answer your question. And it'll probably be a better forum to interact, given that it's the sort of question that requires a fair bit of back and forth, I would imagine. But that's my tip. the short answer is going to be that the more you have, the more resource you have, the better you'll be. But your limiting factor, if you're doing it on your own grid, is going to be your ISP connection. So the advantage, yeah, so there's lots of new stuff, but if you're trying to serve out to the broader market, your limiting connection is going to be the ability for other players to get to you in a consistent way, which is going to be gated on your ISP. The big server providers like Nitrado and the likes have links and an internet connection set up that minimizes those, what doesn't eliminate, but it minimizes those issues. Right, let's have a look at the sheep. Yeah, you might have 1 gig up and down, but that doesn't mean your ISP will connect other users to you with that sort of bandwidth. So anyway, sounds like you've got a pretty good setup, so you just need to find a place to cover all of that. Now, here we go. Animals. Right, so our sheep now very happy. That trailer load did the trick just nicely by the looks. So we know that fresh grass and hay will keep them happy for the minute. Radio. Cool. Lurking's fine. Everybody's welcome here. What was I trying to do? I was trying to remember that keystroke sequence to get... Oh, I can't do it while I'm in a vehicle. So the other things we could give our sheep... So when we get some sugar beets, we can cut that. I'll eat that. Fresh maize. Okay. So the path we're on producing for cows will pretty much keep the sheep happy as well. So that's good. Now, let's have a look here. Have you run out of seeds again? I think I need a front tank for this planter. As the fields get bigger, this is going to be annoying, only being able to put 400 litres at a time in it. There you go. Filled in a flash. Try and stay off my sugar beets. If you saw my episode during the week, you'll know that my brain is coded to say silver beet rather than sugar beet, which I have no idea why. That's just the way it is. Probably because growing up in Australia, sugar beet really wasn't a thing. Which way are we going? We're coming back that way. Whereas silver beet was something that we grew in the garden that you got sort of in the summer. Mum boiled it and it always tasted like sand. Let's... nearest waypoint. Makes better pie. Ah. Silver beet, that is. I don't think I've ever knowingly had silver beet in a pie. As I say, my memories of it growing up was just boiled and sort of a dollop on the side of the plate, and it always tasted gritty. So, not the most pleasant. And then in more recent years, sort of in our house at least, it's been pretty much replaced completely by spinach. You know, either baby spinach in salads or wilted spinach in different dishes. Okay, it is 10 minutes to go. This has taken all stream, which was not the original plan. However, it's a good job to have done. Should just got the 2 headlands to go here. What can we do in terms of tidying up the place a bit? I had a bit of go at getting rid of my pointy rock over here, and because the post on the cow pen's in the way, can't actually shift it. We can put that under the overhang. What do we got here? Silage bales. Where are we going to store? They could go around the end there. Bale spike. Do I have a bale spike? I probably do not. So we'll put that on the list of things that we need to pick up. Trailer. Just trying to make a bit of space so we can see what we've got. Whoops. The next investment needs to be in a couple of sheds, I think. On the other side of the yard here. That can sit there. Now, you're kind of a bit like a shag on a rock there, champ, aren't you? It's been interesting to see the winches start to appear. I checked the ModHub just before the stream started, and there's several vehicles popped out that have all of a sudden got winches. I know 82 Studios busily fitting winches to pretty much every vehicle he's in his stable. So the big winner piece of equipment from the pack. So the next job is a what precisely? We've got a few more trees that need clearing so that we can expand this area. If we have a look at the map, So there are our fields. How much further north? Yeah, so we've, with the exception of this area, which is really not going to be farming, that's probably sheds. We might be able to get a small grass field in here. We probably need, how much are we looking at to buy these? What's that say there? 40. Oh, that's not too bad. 45, 26, 50. So 120 grand would buy us sort of the next tranche down. And then another 140 would get us all the way to the freeway. So sort of 250 we need to double our holding. And I think that's the direction we'll go. What do people think? Is that the way we want to be doing it? I think that's the plan. So to expand down in that direction, it's nice and flat terrain. There's only a handful of trees to get rid of. But we could put a couple more fields down there ready to go. So the trick is generating 250 grand. Financially, what are we here? Is it Control M or Control B? I forget. It's my bank management mod. Maybe I don't have bang. That's the contract HUD. Maybe I don't have the bank management on here. There's every chance. So in terms of normal loan, we've got another 100,000 available to us. So we could definitely buy some more land and get another field up and going. We've got enough monthly income to service the debts that we have. So I think that'll work. Yeah, how are we going here? We're just about... Where's he gone? Okay, the case of the vanishing planter. He's down the bottom corner, right. And he's working on the headlands, so... Which headland's he doing? The first one. Oh, excuse me. Hay fever time. Sorry about that, folks. Hope that wasn't too loud. Goodness me. Right. Well, I think we're about 5 minutes early, but we've kind of gotten stuck with the chores. We've done the main things I wanted, which was to get some sheep in, and they're looking pretty healthy. We didn't really have anything to do with the garden centre today because that's just a produce selling for the minute until we can afford some more fertilizer, and then we'll start looking into making our own. But I think these sheep are going to go nicely here, and they'll develop over time, and then we want to... Don't know that there's a spinnery on the map. Let's have a look here. We don't have any... Where are we here? Wool. No, only the transport company. So we need to place a spinnery. So that's probably a next year job. But really, I think we've got the first two set. I noticed that there was a mod during the week that produces DM on Discord i3. Oh, cool. Thank you. Thank you very much, Cranky. That's much appreciated. Really, that'll be really valuable. So I'll put that in and it'll make it much easier to get in and service that. And then, yeah, so we'll put a spinnery in at some point. Our sheep are going. I was talking about there's a chicken production. It's kind of done as a chicken pen, but you can't see the chickens. It's basically a factory. And the main thing that differentiates it from anything that's gone before is, because none of the doors open, it really is just a factory, is that it produces manure. So I'm not feeling inclined to do that. We could do chickens on here. You'll never forget Silverbeat. Yes. I've just got to work on my programming. I couldn't believe how many, like I eventually picked myself up recording, but I had no idea how many times I had said that in the episode until I went and sort of sat down and edited it, and it's like, oh my goodness, I really was thinking about something else. That's kind of interesting. So is that working when it's doing its headlands out? It's actually doing it back to the edge, which is kind of cool. I didn't realize it did that. Makes perfect sense, but there you go. So he's coming up to the end. Let's get rid of that. It's almost a screenshot for next time. I never remember to do those, so that one might help. Let's take you off pause again. It definitely does have a unique taste. But I think that's where we're going to call it, bring it to an end. Thank you, folks, for dropping in and playing along. Thank you for your counsel and advice. That's much appreciated. We will definitely be in the next game day for the next episode, which will change up some things, and I'm feeling more like we're going to buy a couple of fields up there and see if we can get some of that prepped sort of in parallel with the other thing we've got to think about is how we're going to harvest the barley. And I'm thinking of an older style harvester would fit nicely on this map. So just hunting around for what the right one is. I'm happy to take suggestions if there's particular mods people would like to see us try out as a harvester, but something that's more last century than this century is where my mind is at, sort of in keeping with, you know, we're sort of developing this farming business on the side of our garden centre as distinct from a full-on major operation. Scythe is probably one step to, like, that's 2 centuries ago. But hey, you know, that'd be the sort of thing that Jake could pull out on Silver and Forest just because he wants to give it a whirl, see what happens. Maybe one of those strips he can plant over near the near the inlet. But there you go. That's where we're going to get to. We'll just finish this guy, and it should be enough to get him going, and then we'll be done. So thank you very much for watching. I look forward to catching you all next time. Until then, stay safe. Have a great weekend. See you, folks.